This is Shred, and you're watching Super Metal Chord Inversions.
Guitarists have been confused about chord inversions since the dawn of time.
In this video, my plan is to demystify chord inversions once and for all. We'll talk about the music theory behind the concept and then put it into practice with an iconic metal song. But I can't tell you what it is. Now, for those of you who want to push their chord knowledge to the advanced level, I've composed an acoustic etude targeting a variety of compositional devices. The full tabs for each example will be at my Patreon page below, which is also where I keep my 666 contracts. So if you're looking to make a deal with the devil, sign on my dotted line. Now let me demonstrate what a chord inversion is on the piano. The piano is much more visual than other instruments, so it's a great way to do it. A chord inversion is simply rearranging the notes of a chord. Let's take C major, for instance, which is spelled C-E-G. So if you invert C major, what you do is you take the root and put it up on top. So now the chord is going to be E-G-C. And that's what we call first inversion. Now second inversion, you start on the fifth of the chord, which is G. And then you voice the other two notes, which are C and E. So G, C, and E, that's second inversion. So you got root position, C, E, G, first inversion, E, G, C, and second inversion, G, C, E. And that's really all there is to chord inversions. Super metal chord inversions, let's get straight to it. We're going to start with every guitarist's favorite chord, which is E minor. Root position, it's spelled E, G, and B. Now first inversion, we put the third in the bass. So now we have G, B, and E. And finally, second inversion of E minor, which is spelled B, E, and G. Now, let's put these chords to use in an iconic metal song. So Paranoid is just E minor, C to D, simple power chords. Now what if we use some inversions? So here we've got E minor root position, and then it goes to C in first inversion. And I'm keeping that E as a common tone, which makes it very smooth. And you'll see there's only two notes here, so I've got the root C and the third E. But those are the most important tones. The fifth is really not that crucial. And then we've got D over F sharp, heading back to E minor. Let's try another variation. Now here, I'm playing a lower voiced E power chord, moving to C over G and D over F sharp. Now check this out, a super secret shred tip. Try having one guitarist play the root position chords and a second guitarist doing the inversions. This brings out a really rich, layered sound. Now let's try using inversions with finger tapping technique. So I'm following along with the chords here, and you can see I'm hitting the root note, right, of the E minor, which is E, moving to C, D, and then finally back to the E minor. And the second line is still E minor in root position, but here we get into first inversion of C, first inversion of D, and then the final measure, E minor over G. Now let's check out some more rhythmic power metal variations. Now the key to making all of this stuff work is to follow the chords. So, you know, we got one bar of E minor, right? We got to stick to that. And then we're moving to C in the next bar, E major here, G acting as a sus4. In the next measure, we're pedaling that E. And just for fun, I threw in a D over F sharp back to E minor. Next measure, E minor over G, dancing around with some different inversions here, and a final climb back to the tonic. So you can actually get away with quite a bit here as long as you follow the chord progression. Now, I don't know where you're at in your musical journey at this moment. If you're like most of us, you're probably a work in progress, trying to find your own unique sound and express the ideas in your head with clarity. On a personal note, I've found chord inversions to be indispensable over the years. Sometimes you have a riff or an idea, but it's just not quite right until you apply a specific voicing. Sometimes that small difference can make or break your idea. Now, if you're interested in chord inversions and learning more about music theory in general, I'll leave a link to my Patreon page below. There I'll have an in-depth quiz you can take on chord inversions. I'll also include the tab to my acoustic etude. Now, of course, the best way to learn something is to do it frequently. So if music theory interests you, try taking my daily theory quizzes on Instagram. We cover chords, keys, scales, and intervals. So go ahead, sign my 666 contract. Now here's the bottom line when it comes to chord inversions. Basically, it just gives you a way to repeat an idea in a different way, which is perfect because composition is defined as repetition and development. Great songs aren't usually a series of unrelated ideas. They build and vary based on the previous material. Also, chord inversions give you the ability to be more selective with your musical statements. Sometimes it takes a very specific voicing for a particular idea or riff to work. Remember to make music theory your bitch, and until next time, shred till you're dead.